So, good morning, friends. Thank you for this opportunity to present this work on a new technique for correction of complete lateral rectus palsy by transposing split medial rectus muscle, only one half of it, temporally. We have no financial conflicts in this work. It's well known since 2013, Goki-Git procedure, which involves splitting the lateral rectus and transposing it medially, is reasonably successful treatment for the correction of complete third nerve palsies. As you see over here, results are quite wonderful in a lot of patients. Following this, in 2020, there was a case series of 2 patients in which a similar principle was utilized for treatment of complete sixth nerve palsy. As you see over here, the first case reported in this paper, size paper, had a significant esotropia of around 60 prism diopter, which got almost completely corrected with the split transposition of medial rectus muscle laterally. However, they reported a high overcorrection in the second patient, as you see on the right side. We do realize that there are potential complications of transposing both the halves of split muscle to the opposite side, namely overcorrections as well as undercorrections, inability to do the adjustment post-operatively, lack of abduction and adduction post-operatively, induction or leaving some amount of vertical deviation because you're not working on the vertical muscles. And of course, if there is clamping of the vortex veins or the optic nerve, then you can get vision threatening complications. Hence, we decided to transpose only part of the split rectus muscle. And in this particular case report, we transposed medial rectus lower 2/3 temporally to correct complete LR palsy. This slide shows the consent of publication as well as presentation from the patient's parents. This panel shows this particular 9-year-old child who at 5 years of age developed rhabdomyosarcoma, which was diagnosed with an incisive biopsy followed by partial exentration, removal of lateral rectus muscle, orbital bone, as well as the orbital fat and septum in the lateral compartment of the orbit. Patient had developed enophthalmos following that, significant esotropia as you see over here, and received 7+3 cycles of chemotherapy, 3 drugs, and 45 GY of radiotherapy. When he presented at 9 years to us, he complained of double vision, which was essentially horizontal and uncrossed. His vision in the right eye was 6/60, though we couldn't find the optic neuropathy, no RAPD was there. VEP was refused by the patient. There was a V pattern, 35 prism diopter of esotropia, with a very small 4 prism diopter of right over left, and an abduction restriction of -6, with a tight medial rectus of around +3 to +4 on forced duction test, which was repeated under general anesthesia. These are some panels showing how we performed the surgery. Under general anesthesia, the horizontal Holmes dots were marked so that we don't induce a torsion. The medial rectus was separated and split up to 15 millimeter posteriorly. Upper 1/3 and lower 2/3 was divided. The upper 1/3 was infraplaced and attached 12 millimeters behind the insertion directly on the sclera, followed by, as you see over here, there is a Skippens hook over here, and the medial rectus lower half is getting threaded into the Skippens hook and being mobilized temporally. 6.5 millimeter behind the limbus, near the insertion of the previous lateral rectus muscle, this medial rectus lower 2/3 was attached using a 6-0 Vicryl suture, and an application of Faden suture was done, as you see over here, right in front of the inferior oblique muscle. So we didn't divide inferior oblique muscle to mobilize the medial rectus muscle. And at end of the surgery, a force reduction test was done to confirm absence of induced restriction following the surgery. This is the post-operative result that we achieved in this particular child. There was a small exotropia post-operatively. There was no diplopia and 2 prism of hypertropia was found. There was a small adduction available, around 2 millimeter of adduction was there post-operatively in the right eye. So why did we choose this procedure in this patient instead of doing routine vertical muscle transposition? Because it was necessary to perform medial rectus recession in this patient because FDT was +3 to +4. Because it was an irradiated orbit, we were, as well as excentrated, partially excentrated orbit, we wanted to avoid operating on the vertical recti because there is a significantly high incidence of anterior segment ischemia in these patients, as well as post-operative healing can be poor once you operate on vertical muscles where there are more ciliary vessels. Infraplacement of both the horizontal portion could be done to a small exotropia in this patient. And of course, we chose the inferior half to be transposed instead of superior because working around the superior oblique, superior rectus, and the other important structures superiorly was supposed to be more comorbid. The advantages in this patient is the partial preservation of the adduction was achieved. The untransposed portion of the medial rectus could have been on an adjustable suture, which can post-operatively give us additional adduction and better alignment if required. And of course, because we didn't work on the vertical muscles, we had better preservation of the ciliary vasculature. We do feel that there is limitation in this particular procedure, such as passing the portion of the medial rectus beneath the inferior rectus and mobilizing it without working on inferior oblique can be difficult for inexperienced surgeons. Of course, there is a theoretical probability of co-contraction and globe retraction in adduction. However, it was not found in this particular child. And of course, THT SMR, the procedure we just described, is relatively more aggressive as compared to Nishida's procedure or the standard superior rectus or inferior rectus transposition with Faden suture. In conclusion, we feel is a use for the patients who have complete lateral rectus palsy, who have a failed transposition, vertical transposition procedure, or where the transposition is not possible. There is a short video over here. If I have time, I'll just run through it, demonstrating just the mobilization of the lower segment of the split medial rectus muscle, as you see over here. This is the Schepens hook, and the muscle is being mobilized.
Hello, doctor.
Yes, I'm done. As you see, it's not so difficult to mobilize, and then of course it was not difficult to even put a Faden suture to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, doctor, for such an informative presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Meir.
I now call the second speaker.
Sabrina,
Yes.
you just wait.
Okay.
You just wait. You have to ask one or two questions. Dr. Meir, it was an excellent presentation, but only thing is in this sort of patients in which in one of the patients in which you find out that it was tight medial rectus. So transposition in this sort of patients will be a bit difficult.
So I agree, sir. If you do not recess the medial rectus in a significant amount, it becomes difficult to transpose, and then even putting it back to the insertion area of the lateral rectus is difficult. So many doctors would advise it's suturing quite behind, maybe 12, 15, even 20 millimeters posterior to the limbus. People have attached these muscles.
But that is on those muscles in which FDT is not positive.
Sure, sir. But in this particular patient, it was very easy to mobilize because we did 12 millimeter recession. So I would recommend doing a large recession of the untransposed muscle, and then you will be, and of course, a large posterior dissection is required to split the muscle as posteriorly as possible, sir.
Dr. Urmil, Dr. Nibha, you want to?
No comments, it's okay.
And Dr. Meher, it was an excellent presentation. I just wanted to know how many cases you have done like this. One.
N equal to
Because
1.
there's a reported complication of uveal effusion in these cases. Like I went through the literature. So they say that one of the complications besides the overcorrection and lack of adduction that can be there, uveal
That is
effusion
if
is
you-
also
That
there.
is if you transpose both the halves, because the vortex veins as well as the optic nerve tends to get compressed between the two superior as well as inferior halves of the split muscle. In the technique, essentially what I just showed, only one half is being transposed. So the vortex vein won't get compressed as such, it's more likely to get displaced.
Okay. So optic nerve compression is also one of the known complications.
It will only
So
get displaced. If you don't
displaced.
clamp it between two halves, if you just transfer only one half, you are
Yeah.
unlikely to get that complication. That's why we decided to go for this kind of a procedure.
So we need some more cases to be operated like this for better.